Hello there, good people. So, we are approaching summertime here in Central Texas, and it's all of the things that normally lead up to it. Y'all know that phrase, hot girl summer. It's when, women do this whole thing of preparing their bodies and minds and all that stuff for the to have a fantastic summer. It's this whole facade that's floated down through the years of being ready for it. Well, today I want to talk about how hot girl summers becomes wise women weekends. That's how I framed it, because there's not any more hot girl summers going on over here, right? But there's definitely some time and dedication still going to feeding my body, mind, and soul in a whole other way and at deeper levels than any hot girl summer activities could ever. And that's what I want to dive into today. All right. So before we get too far in, please remember to hit like and the thumbs up button and subscribe, because it helps with all the algorithm things and pull in more people who might enjoy this conversation. And this is particularly for us women folks out there. Guys, you can listen in, but ladies, I want you to listen in particular, because that whole line of crap, I don't even know what the right words, and it's not probably better than that, about hot girl summer, when you're like, deep into your career, or let's say you're starting your family, or you're raising your family, or you're downsizing, all the things like that normally doesn't apply anymore. Now I see some folks, and there's the whole thing about being, and I'm all for self-care, so let's not get that twisted. But this whole about stepping back and soft being, the whole soft line and all that, like I get it and I'm there for it, and I'm still here for it in a whole other way, which is using a little more wisdom and spreading it out over time so that it's truly a benefit to you and yours for the long haul. And the first thing that this requires is a reset and a refocus. Because, hot girl summer really feeds into like this really specific timeline, right? And about prepping and getting yourself ready so that you can be at your best for this specific, your best physically. I will, let's be clear about that, for this specific summer, time. And that's because, let's not even get into the misogyny of it all, and, feeding into, women's body types and all that. But let's just say, even if, women, like, you can care about what you look like and how you present for a certain period of time. I get it. No shame there. But I want us to also think about it with a little more depth, and to refocus, so that it's not just about a superficial timeline, but like, let's talk about what really works for you long term and feeds your soul, and not just your body, you're externally, physically, in a for a temporary time frame. Because you know what? Summers may be here, but fall and winter are coming. And you gotta be ready for that time as well. Okay. So this is a reset and refocus time. And if you approach your summer in that way, that will also help to support longer term growth, right? To get beyond that, so that you can narrow in and focus, maybe not just on a physical aspect, but how about what is an aspect of your life or your personal growth or development that you haven't really been feeding into. And this is a great time to do it. I've done this for years, right? Especially once you get off of that annual goal setting thing, because I support goals, and knowing that there needs to be flexibility and adaptability when addressing them, especially when you're putting yourself on quote rigid timelines. Now, granted, do you have to put boundaries around things? For sure. Are there times when specific timelines matter because there's a deadline associated with it or something like that? Absolutely. But when it comes to your growth, like, There are detours that happen, that will happen without a doubt, that you cannot anticipate, and you have to be prepared for that. And that means being flexible. That means having a mind that's willing to give and shift when things give and shift in life, because life will absolutely life. And you have to be prepared for it, even when you don't know what's about to hit. Does that make sense? For sure. Okay. So let's talk about going below the surface, because that's what really this is about. You need to go below the surface of what looks good for a few months. And I mentioned this because you can get all ready and be on top of things physically and be able to fit into that dress, wear that bathing suit, all of that. But what are you going to do when the fall comes? Does it no longer matter because it's going to be fall and winter and we care less about that during those times? And I'm going to challenge you and say that's not fully true. Because if anything, we as women in particular, like our self care, especially when it comes to our bodies and mental, physical and mental health, like needs to be a year round effort. It may shift in what it looks like, it may shift in what you do. I mean, I know all through even when in my younger years, I did not like going to the gym just to be going to the gym. We have a gym membership now that I do not use. I don't like the gym in particular that we have or get access to, and I'm like, okay, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to work out or that there aren't other options. There are, and it's a matter of making use of those things and or creating those opportunities for you to do it, because your physical health and mental health still matter beyond August and September. When you get into the fall, especially when you get into the winter, right? What is it? Seasonal affective depression or disorder, whatever, something like that. But anyway, that seasonal depression is a real thing, right? So there are things that we have to prepare ourselves for. Sure, take advantage of summer and the brightness and the lightness and what comes with some relief, and prepare yourself for what you're going to do when it's over. And so that it's not this just complete letdown, and then you're running around like a crazy person trying to make up for it in some way. And this goes beyond physical and mental health. This goes into our careers and our growth, and that taking the summer off from certain growth things, and then all of a sudden you feel like, oh, I got to do this because it's the end of the year. You know what? You want to know why that's not good for our health? Is because that adds a level of stress that is completely unnecessary. I know this because I did this. I used to be on that treadmill. I ain't on that treadmill anymore, right? Because my goal year round is to lower stress levels all the time, actively. What do I need to get rid of? What do I need to change? How do I need to change in order to lower those stress levels so that I can be at a better health level, at a better mental state, ultimately a better physical state for the long term? And I don't care how young you are. When I tell you you should probably start thinking about this now, I mean that. Because our young people are not absent from this. They have dealt, Gen Z, God help them, and those babies, they have been through some crap in the last several years, between an international pandemic, social unrest, all of these things that have caused incredible stress to our psyches, to their bodies, all of the things. I've seen it. I know kids. I have kids. I've watched this up close. So pretending that none of that happened and doesn't affect them now is just, we're not doing them a service at all. So that's why I say I don't care what your age is. This applies to all of us in this moment, because we are still going through so much of it with our political and social unrest right now. So don't put this fake facade of things are going to be hunky dory just because it's June, July, and August, and it's the quote summer months. And then, like, okay, but I'll get back to rural life in September. That's no. That's a no. That is a no. If anything, you make sure you still are, working through your real life, and then you give yourself build up and times that will last throughout the year. And that's where that whole, what did I say? A wise women weekend, so that you can feed yourself all throughout the year. Taking that look back, taking that time out week by week, so that you're not putting all your energy into making something look and feel fantastic for a limited time and then coming back to it later in life. Okay, no, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing is you got to prep for the long haul, and I've kind of been talking about this. And this is a great thing because another thing that is really good for the summertime that I do always advocate, because people want to just walk away from everything else and be like, oh, I'm going on vacation with my family, with my girlfriends, I'm going on this trip. All that is fantastic. I highly recommend it. I know I need to do more of that and haven't. And so, yes, you do need that time away. And because of the season, sometimes that's the thing. And you still need to prep for the long haul. Summers are a great time to push the reset button, to take some time out to deliberately engage in reflection. It's a midpoint in the year to say, what is it that I really want to do? Where do I want to be? How do I want to be, before the year comes to an end? And yes, this reflection can happen at any point during a year, right? So let's be mindful of that, because you getting a clue or having a light bulb moment, that can happen at any time. So you can push that reset button and that refocus button at any time. I'm just saying that since so many people like to focus in on the summer as a quote break time, that you lean into that a little bit more, and remember that during this quote break time, that you give yourself the gift of reflection deliberately about what it is you want to do, who you want to be beyond these 2 or 3 months, and for the remainder of the year and moving forward. It's a great time to do it, right? When there's allegedly no pressure and you're doing it for your own development and your own growth, not because someone's telling you you have to do it or you need to do it, okay, for work purposes or whatever. So I highly recommend that you do that. Then the last thing I'm going to say is, guess what? You got to give yourself a moment on the regular, not just at certain times of the year, not at what do I call it, Christmas and July time, the holidays, wherever you are in the country. We all have, country or the world, we all have those things where there are special moments where people take a break and all of that. That is fine and dandy. Again, I recommend it all the time. But there are times when sometimes it just comes in the middle of the week and it's like, you know what? I got to step off of this rat race for a minute. And I got to go run me a little bubble bath. Or I got to go sit outside and get me some sun. Or I need to call a friend and let's go take a ride somewhere. Like, these are things that happen and need to happen on the regular. You do not have to save up your time and energy for what someone else has defined as the perfect quote break time. You don't have to do that. As a matter of fact, it probably causes you more stress to do that. So I'm going to tell you, don't do that. If you need a break on Tuesday at 2, go figure out a way to take your break Tuesday at 2. I don't care if it's walking outside and walking around the block for a minute. And during that time, maybe you're thinking, you know what? I'm going to plan a little getaway for this weekend. Whatever you got to do. Because your self care matters year round. You want to look and feel your best year round, not just during a certain time of the year, right? You can have those goals that you're building towards. Absolutely, I highly recommend it. And life happens. There's a there's another I'll call her creator, but also online business person that I follow and engage with, who has been on this journey, this weight loss journey. She's been very deliberate about it and very open about it for some accountability. And so I'm like, cool. And she's not a fitness person, right? Like, so this is a business person who's like, hey, sharing their moment of here's my growth on something that I really want to do because I want to shift some things in my life, and this is this first step to it. And so she's been doing it and sharing. But then life happens. Life happens, and her father passed away recently, and that has affected the work that she's done on this. And she's like, I got to tap back in even as life continues, and recognizing that even through the tears, I still have to do what's best for me for the long term. So, yes, you have to deal with what's lifing with you right now as you continue to move forward, continue to take baby steps, bigger steps, whatever step you can. If you need to get an accountability partner or a coach or someone to support you in that effort, then do it. But what we're not going to do is focus on being a hot girl in the summer and then fall apart. What does it have? Fall apart fall. We're not doing that. Like, or, waste away winter. We're not doing that. Right. So I encourage you to have your wise women weekends on the regular throughout the year to kind of do that stabilization, right? And know that you can give yourself larger breaks, larger, times when you're focusing on something specific, but also maintain a not just a boundary, but a baseline long term, so that you're not doing those ups and downs that are so disruptive to our lives, our health, all the things. Okay? So there we are. I hope you go forward today. Make sure to celebrate you in all the ways because you deserve it. Be empowered in the actions that you take today and tomorrow and moving forward. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.